Hello again. I've been joining in some of these Zoom meetings lately with missionaries and pastors' wives and church folks and family and friends, and I'm kind of hearing a theme of people feeling very captive, very shut down. And so I thought today we'd talk about self-care for captives. I know that some of us are starting to see the end of the tunnel. Some restrictions are starting to lift here in England, just little tiny glimmers of hope. But others are telling me their country has shut them down all the way to the end of June. So that's a really long time. So we need to keep each other in prayer during this time and just not forget that we're all kind of facing the same things in different ways, but still we're all feeling rather captive. And I think it's important that as we are captives, and I know we talked about whether we're captives or soldiers, but if we feel like a captive, then we need to be making sure that we're taking care of ourselves and exercising the self-care that we need. I got to thinking of some other times in life when we feel captive, like a new mother feels captive to her newborn. This baby is very demanding. This baby can make her feel isolated because she's the only one that can care for it for so much of the time. She can feel used and even weary, even in the midst of all the joy there is of a newborn. And the mother with toddlers, and I remember that well. So many little people to take care of, and all the screaming and the climbing and the terrible twos and threes. A mother with small children begins to wonder if she's ever going to have an adult conversation again. And then I thought about financial pressure, and that can make us feel captive. You know, austerity can really feel like a prison sentence sometimes. While everyone around you is going out to eat and buying new stuff, you're stuck at home trying to make one potato feed four people, and you're recycling everything you can get your hands on, just trying to stay alive. And health issues can make us feel captive as we wait to get to feel better, and we experience so many things from physicians, and our mental health can start to deteriorate as we wait on our body to heal. And then I thought of a difficult marriage or a difficult home life can feel like really a dark dungeon because we don't feel like we can see any glimmers of hope from the situation. As we just look and look for a way out instead of trying to deal with what's in front of us. There are just a lot of the situations in life that can make us feel captive, and I'm sure we've all experienced one or two of them. And if you haven't, well, you are now. You're experiencing your first taste of captivity. But there's a secret to surviving, and that is that you must continue to thrive. There is beauty in the ashes. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is light behind the shadow, and there is a reason to push forward. One of the most wonderful sermons I ever heard was a sermon on Psalm 23 by Reverend Tyrone Adrian in Kansas City, and he was speaking on depression. But he made a statement that just stuck in my heart and in my mind all these years, and here's what he said. He said, you can't have a shadow without light. Do you understand? Light is what causes the shadow, or rather the obstruction of light is what causes a shadow. So when Psalm 23 says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, it is a sure sign that there is light somewhere. And God is that light, isn't he? He is the light behind that shadow. Even in the valley, he is shining. So the psalmist then continues, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. So we need to look beyond the clouds, outside our prison walls, up to the hills from whence comes our help, so that we can continue to survive and thrive. So I'm going to give you 8 things today that will help. They're very basic, very necessary, but if we don't have the basics right, we're just not going to succeed. Do you remember what God told Jeremiah in chapter 12 and verse 5? I'm going to kind of paraphrase it. He says, if you can't run with the footmen, what are you going to do when you're trying to keep up with horses? Or if you get weary in a time of peace, what are you going to do when the hard times come? So don't push off these simple little things and say, oh, I've already heard that. Take them for what they are. They are truth and strength that will help you to thrive even in captivity. And you need to get these right if you're going to continue on. So the first thing we need to do is take care of ourselves physically, don't we? By that, I mean eat right, drink plenty of water, eat good food, not processed and fast foods, but eat fresh, whole foods that are good for your body. My mother used to tell me, if God made it, you can eat it. And I like that. But in other words, what she's saying is avoid things that man has concocted from chemicals and eat the things that God made as much as possible. Avoid the starches and the sugars. Stick with the things that God made and keep your body healthy. And then keep a schedule. Even if it's only eating at the same time every day, do something that helps your life to have a schedule. It might seem that all we're accomplishing is just that right now because we're actually eating from home. But we need to create a life flow and strive to form some good habits. So make your bed, brush your teeth, comb your hair, get dressed each day. Those things are vital. Have a certain time for your Bible reading and devotion and prayer time, and don't waver from it. Make it a point in your day. Go to bed and get up at a set time instead of staying up real late and sleeping in. These habits give life purpose and continuity, and they actually create more space for you to accomplish things, and they keep the days from kind of running all together. And the third thing is to care for yourself emotionally. Cry when you need to. Sometimes you just need to cry, and God created that valve to help us let out pressure. Even for men, they might need to go off somewhere and just cry, because this can be hard. And God built us that way, so it's all right. Another thing God built us to do is to laugh. So find things that make you happy. Watch happy films. Tell crazy jokes. Do things that will make you laugh. And then balance that with times of quiet and rest. Because your emotions affect your physical body. So don't let stress stay all bottled up. Find a healthy way to let it out. And then pray. Tell God about it. He knows it anyway. So keep yourself emotionally stable. And the other thing to do is to exercise. Exercise releases toxins out of your body, and it lets your body rest and be relaxed. And give thought to your brain too. It is a muscle. So be careful what you're feeding it. If it's just dining on TV, your muscle is not getting good exercise. That's like being a couch potato inside your head. So get your brain out doing some things. Do some new crafts, read books, learn something new, challenge yourself to change what you're doing with your brain so that you have healthy habits in your brain. And spiritually, stay in tune with the Lord. And if you're struggling, just turn over to Psalms. That's where God deals with our emotions, isn't it? Start meditating and memorizing on the Psalms, where David is so honest about how he feels. And if you don't know the Lord, find someone who does and ask. Or get yourself a Bible and start reading the Gospel of John. God promises that if you will look for him, he will come to you. So if you don't know him, find him while this time is here. And then stay connected. Stay connected. It's too easy to use this isolation as an excuse to shut yourself away, but that is not going to be healthy for you in the long run. It's better for you to pick up the phone or get onto a social media platform of some type, or even just get out of the house and go get some groceries to remind yourself there are still other people out there, and give someone a smile. Stay connected because we need each other. God made us that way. We were made for companionship, ultimately with God, but also with each other. So reach out. Even if it's just a text or a short message, keeps conversations going. And let me say, choose wisely who you call. Speak to a person who will listen and not judge. Someone who will keep your confidence, and someone who will correct you in love if need be. Someone who draws you to peace and to calmness, not someone who stirs you up and leaves you frustrated or angry or guilty. So choose carefully who you talk with. And keep calm. Use music and prayer and reading, hobbies and crafts like I mentioned, walks. Do positive things that will soothe you and keep you calm. And cast out the negative thoughts, right? Capture them and get rid of them. Turn off the sources of fear and stress. If it's the TV or whatever it is, just turn it off. It doesn't have to be on all day long. And seek peace and pursue it, right? Calmness brings strength. And then walk away from conflict. Just don't start it. Two cannot fight if one will not. Another thing I remind myself of is, if you can't row the boat to shore, don't rock the boat. In other words, if you don't know the solution, or you have no power to correct a situation, then don't muddy the waters by stirring it. Just sit still and see what God can do. You know, I know it's all well and good telling you these things, and you've probably heard them over and over, but sometimes we need to be reminded, and sometimes we fail, don't we? But that's okay. You know, like Job, sometimes the compound problems of life will just drive us to our knees. Or like Elijah, the weariness of the battle will drive us to a cave. But remember that even in their despair, God knew where they were, and he met them with encouragement. And he will do the same thing for you. He knows where you are. He knows how to encourage you. And he is the light behind the cloud. My prayer is that we will all remain mentally strong as we wait through this historic time. So let's move on. Let's embrace change. Let's stay happy, be fair and kind, and take care of ourselves emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And in the end, I hope that our stories will be one written of by faith and that we can rise to the challenge. I want to read you a little bit of few verses from Lamentations today before we finish. So Lamentations chapter 3, verses 21 to 26. This I recall to my mind, therefore I have hope. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore will I hope in him. The Lord is good to them that wait for him, and to them that seek him. It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of the Lord. Verse 31, for the Lord will not cast off forever, but though he cause grief, yet will he have compassion according to the multitude of his mercies. For he doth not afflict willingly, nor grieve the children of men. Verse 40, let us search and try our ways, and turn again to the Lord. Let us lift up our heart with our hands unto the God in the heavens. And then in verse 55, I called upon thy name, O Lord, out of the low dungeon. Thou hast heard my voice. Hide not thine ear at my breathing, at my cry. Thou drewest near in the day that I called upon thee, and thou saidst, fear not. That's what he said, was fear not. And I want to leave you with one last scripture in Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 3. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed upon thee. And perfect peace, that's what we want, don't we? Even in this storm. You know, God can give us that even when we feel captive, because he is that light behind the cloud. So let's stay strong, and let's continue waiting on the Lord.